I will make the point, there's been no poll, probably now for about 8 months, that says the Prime Minister can win a majority government, that Labor will get over the line and govern in its own right. So at best, we're talking, as you speculate there, about a minority government. There have been some recent polls, if the wind blows the right way, that the coalition itself could form majority government. So any potential majority is falling the coalition's way if the polls are to be believed. Now, a hurly-burly campaign where the other bloke's got all the momentum and you are a renowned poor campaigner. And particularly, I might add, you have the perception now that's locked in, I think, that you are weak. And Australians, don't have a lot of confidence in you. How risky is a long campaign for the Prime Minister, and the timing of the campaign too, Dennis? Because people are speculating today that they could call it this month if they get a rate cut from the RBA. So a February election being called, possibly for a March election date.
Just on the election date, I still believe that it is more likely we'll have an election in May. I know a lot of speculation is shifting away from March now to April 15, which happens to be the Passover holiday. So it would be interesting to see the Labor government, currently under enormous pressure over anti-Semitism and domestic security, calling an election on the day of the beginning of the Jewish Passover holiday. So I think that all of this is playing into the government going longer rather than earlier. And a rate cut, look, what happened in the US? The Democrats discovered, the Biden administration discovered, that after a long period of high inflation and high interest rates, which we have certainly experienced here, with the longest period of cost rises and domestic cost rises, price inflation in Australia, what happened was people become inured to it. One simple rate cut, a bit of a decline in inflation, does not reassure them. They hold back and they still take it out on the government of the day, and that was what was happening to the Biden administration. I don't think, of course, if there is an interest rate cut, it'll be good for the government, but I don't think that will be enough for them to go off and suddenly call an election on one rate cut, a 0.25% cut, not worth anything near what the mortgage payments have gone up over the last few months. So I think the Prime Minister and his address to the caucus today demonstrated that he wants to sell the prospective, better economic outlook over a longer period of time, and he also wants to take the time to bury the anti-Semitic rise of anti-Semitism, the doubts about security, and damage Peter Dutton's personal leadership. Anthony Albanese is returning to the same trough. He destroyed Scott Morrison's leadership, and it worked a treat. He is trying to do the same now for Peter Dutton. Labor miscalculated about Dutton's electability, and now what they are facing is the possibility that Peter Dutton could actually be elected. This is going to take much longer to actually undermine Peter Dutton's leadership. The momentum is with him. He is doing better in polling terms on particular issues, including the economy, than Anthony Albanese and the Labor government. So I think that people will get too carried away if there is a cut this month in interest rates. Well, it's not enough to go on. And it also proves that Anthony Albanese was right in deciding to go longer, not to go to an election in last September, because the economy has improved. The argument then was it couldn't get worse. Well, it actually got better.
I will add, I think that Scott Morrison broke his own leadership. I don't think the Albanese attacks really did the damage. I think Scott's ranking with people when he went to the election was at an all-time low, and I think the government, the Prime Minister, profited from that. I think Peter Dutton's a particularly different character there, but we'll see. Dennis, thank you. Great to have you back as always.